Sure.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. Do you guys got something to take some notes with? Got a pencil nearby? I see Ron, ready to take some notes, eager to learn. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk about closing a little bit for you guys today, um, and go over just some basic reminders that I think a lot of people tend to forget about and lose along the way. Some things that I know I forgot about when I first started. So number one of the most basic tips for closing is just smile, nod, and silent. If you aren't silent after asking for the order, you're missing out. I can specifically remember it was one of my demos last summer during SC2. It was a homemaker order, and I asked for the order, and I could tell she was very nervous about getting the homemaker. So I asked her for the order, smiled, and just sat there. We sat there for like 2 minutes, no words were said. I looked at the time, and she got the homemaker. Had I jumped in and said something, she might not have got it. Um, for example, I was talking to a rep the other day, and they left me like on the phone while they asked the customer for the order. And he asked for the order, and then he threw in the or no. Like he was like, "Do you want to get the homemaker set today or no?" Like that. Does that sound like super strong? Not really, right? It's giving the customer the opportunity to say no. The customer didn't say no before he did. He said no for the customer. So smile, silent, and nod. That's gonna improve your closing. Um, Now, part of closing is handling the objections, of course. I'm not going to talk super deep into handling the objections today, but if you don't know already, you should use the objection cycle when working with your customers. If they say no to the homemaker set, you obviously need to find out a reason. So ask them, okay, Miss Jones, if you don't mind me asking, what's the reason? Or what is it about the homemaker that you're unsure of? And from there, she's going to give you an objection, right? So you use the objection cycle, feel, felt, found. Okay, Miss Jones. So the price is the issue, correct? Yeah, okay. Awesome. Well, many of our other customers have felt the same way. And what we found has worked best is to split the payment up over 5 payments. So you're understanding, you're feeling you're feeling how they feel, and but or however, and then offer a new solution. Um, Now, so getting back into closing, uh, the strongest closers are the ones who can do it without having to look at their script. So the best way to close is to have it memorized. If you guys haven't figured out yet, the best way to be a sales rep is to get your script memorized. Get your phone script memorized, your rec script, and your closing. Pretty much everything needs to be memorized at some point. But closing is super important because don't you think that your customer is going to feel more trust if you're able to make eye contact with them while you're asking if they want to spend $1,000? Yeah, they're going to be a little bit more open to it. They're gonna feel more confidence coming from you. Customers like when the person they're buying from is confident and is able to ask for the order with confidence without their voice like shaking or cracking. Ask with confidence. Ask with the intent that your customer is going to say yes, because your customer is going to say yes. Everyone's going to say yes. Everyone loves Cutco. And just remember as well, when you get the first no, it's just the first no. Almost everyone says no. It's like human nature. The first time you ask them, they're gonna say no. Most people you have to ask them 4, 5, or maybe a handful of times and them say no before you get to a yes. Most customers won't say yes the first time. You have to get multiple no's and then you get a yes. Each no is just one step closer to getting a yes, right? So let's see. When your customers tell you no, uh, don't let your face show it. Don't show like any disappointment in your face. Don't change your voice. You don't want to change your demeanor immediately after they say no because your customer's going to notice. They're going to notice and think, "Wow, they're ungrateful. I'm sorry I can't afford like a large set right now." Um, like your customer's not going to want to get anything else from you. So keep your energy up, stay enthusiastic. Remember, all of our options are great. All the smaller sets are still good options for your customer. What matters is that we get them Cutco in their house today. Closing closing is about just closing. So, um, if you had the option to close, a homemaker plus eight, or with a homemaker plus eight with what was it? With super shears for free, or a homemaker plus eight and the entertainer pack and two kitchen tools for free, you guys would all choose the super shears, right? Like as far as what helps you out, right? Yeah, because giving them the entertainer pack and two kitchen tools, that CPO is gonna hurt. And that order is gonna be in the red. So where I'm going with this is make sure you're calling in your managers at halftime to help you with writing up your orders. Um, Calling in during halftime is probably the most important part for everyone, no matter what stage you're at. You guys, when you're brand new, which some of you I know are a little bit newer than others. I don't know exactly how long you guys have all been here, but I do know some of you are some newer faces. Um, I'll tell you that still to this day, when I do demos, maybe I don't call in 3 times, but I do call in occasionally. Like I'll still call Ron and get help. So call in and get that help so you guys can make sure you're getting a good deal for your customers and you. And remember that you also don't know what deal your manager can give you, right? If you don't call in, your customer said no to the homemaker, but they would have said yes had got the price just a little, gave them a little bit better of a deal, but you didn't call in, so you didn't get a better deal. You just missed out on that opportunity, right? Because you didn't call in. So make sure you're calling in to get that extra help on that. Um, Sorry about that. Um, but can I get some thumbs up? Everything making sense so far? Yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. So continuing on. Um, closing closing is also about your trust with the customer and the relationship you've built with them. So does closing start when you get to the presentation? Like nod your head. Yes or no? All I see is Ron right now. All right. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple head nods. No, yeah, it does not start when you get to the presentation. Closing starts when you're on the phone with your customer. When you're on the phone with your customer. And if it's a recommendation, it kind of starts when you get that recommendation from the other person, and how you set that up. Do you do your three-way text? When you do the three-way text, do you respond in the group chat? Do you handle the three-way text program the way that it should be used? Because if you're not, you're definitely missing out on CPO. Because I'll tell you, when I started using that three-way text, life-changing. So closing starts when you're on the phone with the customer. Now, the biggest key to getting your customer excited to seeing your demo, which is going to lead to, her being more open to spending money today, giving you her credit card, is getting them excited on the phone, building rapport. If you're booking a demo in 1-2 minutes on the phone, are you building any rapport like at all? No. At least take like a couple of seconds to build some rapport with Miss Jones. Get an understanding of what she does in the kitchen. If you have an idea of, how often they're cooking, how many times a week they're cooking, stuff like that before going to the demo, it's going to help you that much more because you can go into it a little more prepared on what to show her. You can know ahead of time, oh yeah, I definitely want to show Miss Jones the complete set, or I definitely want to show her the family set. Um, so closing starts on the phone, and then once you walk into the customer's house, or once you open the Google Meet and you guys hop on there together as well, um, you're in there at that point. So the beginning of the presentation is also important. Make sure you're building good rapport with your customers. If your customers don't trust you, why would they buy Cutco from you? They don't feel comfortable with you. They don't like you for some reason. Why would they buy Cutco from you? You got to get your customers to like and trust you and feel comfortable to want to buy Cutco from you. Now, when you're building rapport, you also want to make sure you're sharing your goals. Just recently, I had a rep who had a lot of objections of I'll buy later. All we did to fix that objection was just have him change the way he was sharing his goals, which was that he wasn't sharing his goals. He was just mentioning that there's a scholarship in a President's Club letter, but he didn't talk about why it was important to him, why he was going after that. Like he didn't even really say that he wanted to get the scholarship and letter. It was just like it's there. And we took a look at it. He's now actually trying for the scholarship, but he's explaining to his customers how it's going to impact him in like school and the future. So that creates a sense of urgency for the customer. Like, oh, I need to buy right now to help him out. It doesn't help him if I buy later. Because can it help you if your customers buy later? I mean, maybe, but no. Your customers should buy Cutco the first time you see them. It's also better for them because they get a better deal, right? Customers leave, they don't get a deal anymore. So then, can anyone tell me what slide, like the actual closing process starts on? I'm curious to kind of see what you guys think. Um, don't be scared. Go ahead, Jaden. You are muted right now.
I
There
was
we
gonna say slide one.
go. Good idea. And I'm getting more specifically at the like in the script, where does like the closing part actually start?
Oh, um, in the script or like the slides?
The slides, sorry.
That
Kenneth, do you have a guess?
Uh, it'll probably slide four. I think slide four. When it asks the question, do you know? Well, do you cook because you have to, you like to, you love to? I think that'll be.
Okay. Good guess. You guys are thinking a little bit too in the wrong direction. It is closer to like the actual closing slide that I'm talking about. But I'm curious to see what you guys think. Do you have another guess, Jaden? I know you were.
I was gonna say it's right around that time, that slide where you start talking about prices.
Yeah, within that range. So yeah, it's the when you're comparing to our competitors, really the storage options kind of starts it, or not the storage options, the summary. The summary is kind of where closing starts. I think a lot of representatives think that closing is just the homemaker slide where you're telling them the price of it and asking for the order. That's actually not true. A lot of customers, they're used to seeing, two or three multiple prices on a high, like something of high quality or high value. They're used to seeing multiple prices on it before buying it and seeing like, kind of what the price range is, what the market looks like. So that's why it's important to make sure you are showing them the Wusthof and Shun pieces. And when you're talking about those other companies, if you want your customers to like really trust you and feel more comfortable, make sure when you're talking about those other sets that you actually talk about them as if they're, good. Like these are good and high quality sets because they are, right? Like Wusthof and Shun are high quality sets. They wouldn't be at the price point they are if they weren't. And so making sure your customers understand that Wusthof and Shun really are our two biggest competitors, and they're both very high quality. And Cutco has all of these features where these ones have these features. So it's more so just instead of um, kind of pinning them against each other and talking bad about the other companies, because we don't want to talk bad about another company. That kind of makes us look bad, right? To talk bad about another company, that doesn't give you a good name. If you talk bad about someone like Wusthof or Shun right before asking for the order, your might get a bad taste in their mouth, and they might not want to say yes to you. So if you talk good about the other companies and you compare them to Cutco without talking bad about them, that's going to build some trust in you. Your customers are it's gonna kind of open their eyes like, okay, they know what they're talking about. They don't want to talk bad about another company just so I buy Cutco, right? Now, just a few last tips here before we make some calls, which is the best part of Champs Club, in my opinion. Um, I know we all love making our call time. So a few last tips. Remember, just to kind of recap, that the closing does not start when you get to the demo. Closing starts on the phone. So if your phone approach, if you're not following some sort of script, probably should. And make sure you're building a little bit of rapport on the phone with your customers as well. It doesn't need to just be cut and dry, like, hey, let's book this time. Cool. Okay, bye. Like, it doesn't have to be super short. Take a second to talk to your customer. If you can get her to like laugh on the phone or something, that's solid. Get them excited to see you, excited that you're coming or that you're going to be meeting with them. And then smile, silent nod. So smile, nod, don't say anything. And if they're just kind of nodding, because they're gonna start nodding back at you. They're just kind of looking at you. Give them an even harsher nod, like, yeah. Right? Smile, silent nod. Use the objection cycle when given no. And remember, no is not a no to you, and it's not a no to everything. It's just a no to that option. It's a no to that option. Work with your customer and find the right option for them. Find the right option for your customer. Remember, the objection cycle is using feel, felt, found. Okay, Ms. Jones, you feel this way, but however, what we found works best, and then you go on. So you offer them a solution. All right. I'm gonna leave the last 5 minutes for anybody with any questions. Do you guys have any questions? Any light bulbs go off? Any specific situations from like your own demos where something happened and you kind of
I
want to
do
ask
have a
about how to
question.
handle it? Yeah.
So I ran into a situation where I have people that they will understand the value of the knives, they understand what it can provide them, but when they hear the price, instead of comparing the knife to its price and what it can do, they compare the price of the knife to the price of other things in their lives. So, like for instance, the 337 monthly payment for the knife. Like I have people that'll say, "Oh, that's a water bill to me," and then they compare the water bill to or the usage of their water to a knife, and they go, "Well, knife's not what my water is, so why would I get this?" And they kind of convince themselves out of it. How would I deal with that?
Okay. Um, there's a couple ways you could deal with this, and I'm sure other managers could help out as well. But something I would recommend is comparing it, like also comparing it to other things in their life. comparing it to their grocery bill each week, right? A lot of people spend, I mean, I know I spend $100 in the store for myself as a college student. So I know families are spending $200 plus a week. I know my family used to spend $300 a week for to feed six people for groceries, and that was like on a minimum. So my favorite when Miss Jones tries to compare to something else, okay, Miss Jones, how much do you spend at the grocery store each week? Okay. And she'll probably say it, and you probably don't even have to say anything. You can just kind of smile. And then you can pick something else out. So grocery bill, it's adding up all of their eating out expenses for the month. You know, there's a video from training of Mike Aberwitz. Some managers play it, some don't, so you may or may not have seen it, but he breaks down the cost of a family to go out to eat. And just one time can, you know, depending how many people are in the family, can be up to $100, if not more, just for one dinner. Well, let's say the family eats out 4 times a month. You know, once per week they go out to dinner. Well, that adds up to the price of Cutco per month. Or adding up the times they go eat fast food each month. Well, all of that cost comes out to Cutco, right? So they're spending this money on things in their life that aren't actually improving their quality life at all. If anything, the money they're spending on fast food is, you know, taking down their quality of life a little bit, right? Eating out and eating fast food are, you know, nothing wrong with it. I had Wingstop last night, right? I'm not judging anybody, but buying Cutco is going to help them eat out less. They're going to cook more and they're going to save money in the long term because they never have to buy another set of knives again. And they're going to eat out each week a little bit less. So does that kind of help, like giving you the other comparisons you could use, like the grocery bill and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was just having an issue with that. Like I didn't know how to combat that in a way because it wasn't necessarily the quality of it that they had a problem with, but they were looking at it like it's just knives. What am I going to do with knives when I can, when I have to pay for a light bill or stuff like that? And so it's like, okay, at that moment, I didn't have anything to think of like how to answer that. So I just needed advice on that.
I would be a little bit careful as well. It does kind of sound like your customers were missing a little bit on value. If they think of it as they're just knives, the customers don't understand the value. Because is Cutco just knives?
No,
No, we have other things, and um, Cutco isn't just knives, it's the best knives, right? Is there another knife better than Cutco? No, there's not. But yeah, any other questions before we get into phoning? All right. Ron or Dom, could one of y'all get the phone jam board up for me? We're gonna get into making some calls. So go ahead and open up your Vector Impact app, click that phone now tab, and line up your top